All right, welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. This is probably the most requested video that I have ever received. It's constantly getting berated with comments from people wanting to see this. So today I'm going to do a full day of eating, and we're also going to go to the track and do some training. So I woke up, I already fucked it up. I had coffee with a protein, which I normally do every morning. So you guys didn't get to see that, but it was just regular coffee with a scoop of protein blended into it, and that's how I enjoy my coffee. So we're getting ready to go to the gym. This is normally what I do in the mornings prior to going to the gym, is I take some juice. Doesn't matter, whatever juice you have available. This just happens to be pineapple juice. Sometimes I use orange juice, sometimes I use apple juice. It don't matter. I get myself a healthy serving of juice. I take a little bit of beetroot, and I'll pour that in there, and people are gonna be like, that's disgusting. It's not actually. So this is pineapple and beetroot. Take a little blendy. Hit up one of them. Now I don't know the macros on something like this. It's juice with some beetroot, but the reason I do this is because I don't like to eat a lot of food prior to going in sprint. Now if I was gonna lift, maybe I would have a small bit of toast or something with some honey or something on it. But prior to going sprinting, a fruit juice, a little bit of beetroot, that's all I really need, because I don't want heavy food sitting in there. The juice doesn't feel like it kind of weighs me down prior to going out to the track before we go do some sprints. So we'll call this just a pre-sprint meal or pre-sprint snack, and then we'll head out to the track. We'll do some sprints today. All right, so first up, we're gonna run some 20 meters. I only have the back 10 of this 20 right now. So what I'm measuring is 10 meters to 20 meters. We're gonna do about 4 reps of this, and then we're gonna start extending these 10 meters out all the way up until 50 meters today. So not a lot of talking today, because I'm also gonna be adding in more time through the video with having to show you guys what I'm eating for the day as well. So I don't want this to end up being a 45-minute long video of everything. So we're gonna knock out 4 reps to 20s, and you guys will see the times as I get these done. All right, rep number 1, 118 from 10 meters to 20 meters. $117. All right, next up is some 30s. We're gonna be measuring the back 20 meters of this. So from 10 meters to 20, 20 meters to 30, we're gonna be having a time measured on both of those. And then, like I said, we're just gonna keep extending this out. So 3 total reps on the 30s, and feeling pretty good right now, actually. All those 20s felt really good, and I was really happy with the numbers that I got there. So like 117, 118 for the most part for me, which is an incredible 10 to 20 meter section there. So we're looking at maintaining that intensity, being a little bit more patient with that, and continue to drive through 30 right now. All right, if we do a little quick halftime break here for the 30s, we did 221, the 223, and the 223. The 221, we hit a 101 on that 20 to 30 mark, which gave us 22.15 miles an hour, which is pretty damn good. And then the next fastest one was a 104, which put me at a 21.51. So I'm hoping things continue to feel good, because we're gonna start running 40s and 50s. And I got 2 reps of each of these. So what this means is that we're doing a lot of volume. So we're gonna take longer rests, make sure that we can hit these with the intensity that we want. We're gonna set the cones up again. We're gonna measure 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and now 30 to 40. And we'll do 2 reps on these.
All right, recap on the 40s there. Went 333, 326, 327. Now the 327, I had my fastest overall speed, so we got back down to a 101, which was that last 10 meter section there. So 30 to 40 meters, which puts me at 22.15 miles an hour. So now I've hit that twice today. I think I still can get a little bit more, but I'm balancing right now in between like knocking off another good rep and then just being buried in fatigue. So we're going to do 250s regardless of how they feel. We're just going to get the volume in because this week is going to be a very high volume week in terms of overall sprint meters. And then we're going to dial it back pretty considerably next week. And then week 12, we're going to test it out. So we're going to hit the meters no matter what today. I don't know how well they're going to be, but we're still doing that 30 meter section. So we're going to have a 20 meter lead in before we do these 30s. So the times will get considerably faster, or I hope they get considerably faster from these 326s and 327s. So we're going to be measuring from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Now I haven't ran an all-out 50 this entire block yet, so this is the first time doing these. That last rep, the reason why I feel like I got the fastest overall speed on that one is because I was a little bit more patient through that first 20 to 30 meters, trying to like push myself and build through. And I was also focusing on trying to remain smooth. So that 333, I went out too hard. I was trying to sprint that first 20 meters with too much aggression, which set me up to run a slower back end on that. So the next two reps, what I did was just focus on pushing through, being patient through that 30 meter mark, and then feel like I was driving all the way through 40. Now we're going to put it together and try to do that for 50, and we'll see how this goes. So full rest in between these again, because 50 meters is a long ass distance to be sprinting, especially if you're going to do multiple repetitions. And then we're going to go make our breakfast / post workout meal. All right, 50s are done. I'm tired. They went better than I thought though. Didn't hit what I wanted at 0.99, but overall, I would say things are moving in the right direction still. We got the rest of this week. So we got 2 more sprint sessions this week. We got 3 more the week after. And then we're going to start putting things together for a test. So I got 5 more sessions to get better when it comes to sprinting on the track. But let's break these 50s down real quick. What I'm seeing here, that first repetition on the 50. So remember, this 50, we're measuring from the 20 meter mark to the 50 meter mark. So we're not measuring the entire 50. But the first one was a 313. From the first 10 meter section on the back 30 was a 105. That middle section was a 105. And then 40 to 50 was a 104. So it put me at 21.51 miles an hour as my fastest top end speed for that 30. And then the second one was a 314, but we went 107, 104, 103, which what I felt on that is that first 20 meters was just slow. I was tired. I wasn't able to kind of build up the way that I wanted to, but I actually like that rep better than the 313, even though it was a 100th slower. So because you see a progression of acceleration through the entire rep, you don't see a 105, 105, 104. What's more likely happening on that is I'm not continuing to accelerate because I'm not pushing through and staying patient and driving through 20 to 30 and 30 to 40. And then I stood up and started just running, which was able to get a little bit faster of a time from that 40 to 50. I would like to see a consistent drive all the way through. So it's like 105, 103, and then 0.99. Like that would be an ideal repetition on that, especially if we're going to be doing like a 60 meter test or a flying 30, where I'm going to have a 30 meter lead into a 30 meter fly. That's the progression of time that I would like to see when doing longer sprints, when we're doing something like 30 meter flies, and those 30 meters are, you know, the 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, that kind of stuff. All right, so overall, the volume today was pretty high, but I needed to be there because we're going to taper it off coming next week. So So we did the 250s, that's 100 meters. We did 340s, that's another 120 meters, so that's 220. Then we had 90 meters for the 30s, that puts us at 300. And then the 60 meters for the 20s, that puts us at say 360. So 360 meters of acceleration type speed work is a lot of volume for the Excel stuff. So enough of the training for today. The real reason you guys are watching this video is because you want to see what I shoved down my throat. Pause. You want to see what I eat. Anyways, we're going to go make breakfast. All right, for the sake of not putting my big ass camera in my kitchen, I'm filming the rest of this video on my phone today. But for breakfast, post-workout, whatever you want to call this, we're looking at 2 whole eggs, 4 egg whites. We're gonna put this on toast, and we're gonna put some cottage cheese and some honey on top of that. Now, I got 3 pieces of toast here. I normally do 4, but the last piece was an end piece, and I don't eat the end pieces because I'm not a psychopath. So we're only doing 3 pieces. I might add a banana. I got these old bananas right here. So you know what? We're gonna throw a banana on this as well. But this is the post-workout / breakfast meal for the day. So what I'll do, I got a little bit more eggs here. I kind of make it in 2 little batches so I can make it evenly and spread it across the bread. I don't count my calories or my macros as I do my daily eating. I'll have periods of time where I might track it a little bit just to make sure that what I've been eating is kind of what I've been guesstimating for whatever period of time I've gone without measuring everything. But I've gone through extensive periods of measuring food out, knowing how I feel off of that. I do best eating intuitively. I don't do the best when I'm trying to be very strict and trying to maintain specific macros for this, that, or the other. I generally focus on just trying to eat enough protein, and then if I get hungrier, I just add in additional snacks, throw in some extra carbs or whatever for that day. But as you can see here, we got the eggs on the toast. We're now going to add in the cottage cheese on top, a little scoop on each side. That's good enough for that. And then the last part here is we're going to put some honey on top of everything. Oh, we're running out of honey. We're going to have to go back to the store. And then, like I said, we'll throw in the banana there because we don't have 4 pieces of toast today. Voila, there you have it, breakfast. All right, so protein coffee. Again, this is my afternoon kind of like pick me up. There's about 30 grams of protein in this. I usually will sip on this as I do some work and get some things done, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So we've had the pre-workout meal, the post-workout meal, a little bit of a snack here, and dinner a little bit. All right, we're getting ready for dinner here. So I got some chicken frying up. I'm gonna add this tablespoon of honey to it, or however much that is, I don't know. I'm not a very good estimator on measurements and stuff. Sorry if there's too much of a sizzle for you guys. But what I'm gonna do here is just eat what I eat every single day, which is some sort of a burrito and wrap. Now, I fucked up. I only have 1 wrap left. Normally I'll do double wraps on these. So what I'm gonna do is just throw in something else to get a little bit more carbs in because I feel like I haven't really eaten a considerable amount of carbs today. So we'll go ahead and mix this up. I want some more honey. You know what? We'll just add in a little bit more honey on this. And there you have it. This is going to be the dinner. This is about 400 grams, 350 grams of chicken, give or take. And by my estimation, total number of protein for the day is going to be around somewhere between 200 to 220. And for me, that's a perfect amount of protein throughout the day. Carb-wise, like I said, I didn't have as many of these wraps as I want. I know each of these wraps is about 30 grams of carbs. I would have been making 2 burritos out of this, so I would have had 4 wraps, which would have been about 120 grams of carbs, which would have put me where I needed to be for the day in terms of what I feel like my carb estimation number is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some chicken on that wrap there. we're gonna throw a couple slices of goat cheese. We're gonna let that just sit there and melt. And then I'm gonna go into my goodie drawer. Boom. Here's the carb makeup section. So basically, you're just gonna get some fig Newtons. These things, if we look on the label, per Newton is negligible amount of fat, 1 gram of fat. We're looking at 12 grams of carbs. If I were to eat this entire package here, I would get about 140 grams of carbs. So this is gonna be dinner, wrap. I'll eat the rest of the chicken. I'll have half of the fig Newtons in here, and that is going to be the end of what I eat in a day, because this is pretty much the end of my food for the day. Now, I know people are gonna ask about macros and all this kind of stuff. I weigh about 210 to 215 pounds, give or take. I haven't weighed myself in a long time. For the amount of activity that I do, about 200 to 220 grams of protein is good for me. About 300 grams-ish of carbs is good for me. And then I usually get probably about 70 to 90 grams of fat. I don't really measure it all out. Like I said, I've kind of measured enough to kind of guesstimate where I'm at. And it works for me because I feel good. I don't feel like I'm not able to get through all of my training sessions. I feel like I'm able to have energy to get through everything. I feel like I recover well enough. Obviously, I'm not losing weight substantially, so I'm eating enough food. And there you have it. The most requested video ever is, what are you eating today? So there you have it. Burritos, chicken, eggs, protein shakes, some carbs, bananas, fruit. I'm eating some fig Newtons, and that's it. So appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.